Hello everyone. How are you doing, Zaina?
Hi, Saddam. Can you see me okay?
Yes, I can. There's a bit of a delay, so hopefully it's not my connection.
Yeah, I do see the delay on
Okay,
your
give me a second. I'm
screen.
gonna rejoin. Just give me a second.
Okay, okay, okay. So we're just gonna wait for Sudduf to rejoin. I think the connection was a little bit off, but for those that are on right now, we are going to be talking about building an online presence and community with Sudduf today. So let's see if she's back on. How is everyone doing? Today feels like a Monday, and it's been an exhausting weekend. So let's wait for Sudduf. Is she back on here? Yep, there we go. We're waiting for the connection. There we go.
Hello. Hopefully that's better.
Yes, it's a little bit better.
Perfect.
How
I heard you say, I'm good. I heard you say that it feels like a Monday. Does anyone even know what day it is today? I don't.
I honestly, I've been just like living in my PJs every single day, and like I just don't even know what day of the week it is ever. So not
Yeah. Yeah, totally get it. Thank you so much
but
for having me.
oh my God, it's so nice to actually like meet you like virtually. We've connected a couple of times and we've never actually met in person, and or actually I did meet you in person years ago when you had my salon shop. And of course you're not going to remember you like customers, but I remember I met you there, and then afterwards we connected again on Instagram, and that's kind of one of the things that really encouraged me to reach out because you know, you are so great at creating the community that you've created and building a presence for yourself, whether it's offline and online. And I really thought it would be a great topic of discussion because I know a lot of people right now, especially with the whole COVID-19, are pivoting online and are trying to build their online community. So I guess maybe if you want to go into like introductions before we start.
Sure. Yeah. So like Zaina mentioned, I used to own a brick and mortar shop. It was in Mississauga, so just outside of Toronto. And it was a lifestyle boutique for Muslims. And I was looking at pictures the other day because, you know, on Facebook, it tells you about memories and stuff.
Like
So I
your
had a couple
app.
of things pop up. Yeah. And it was just a really cute shop. And the premise was that anyone who walked in would feel welcome. So whether you were a Muslim with a Canadian background, Pakistani background, any sort of background, you would feel like this was the shop for you. So it was not attached to any particular culture. So it was a really nice, welcoming space. And when I had triplets, actually, I have 3-year-old triplets now. When I had my kids, I decided to close the store because I wasn't going to be able to manage, you know, going in every day or even managing a brick and mortar. And I kind of took that community that I had built online. So the relationships that I had created, the business relationships, the customer relationships. A lot of people that I work with right now are my past customers or businesses that I had worked with. And I think that transition was really preparing me for what's happening now because everything I do now is really online. And as someone who is a mother, working in the online space is just so much better for my lifestyle. I can have my kids are downstairs. I can be home. If someone falls sick, I can be with them. Just this online space is more conducive to mothers and what we need.
I love that. I love that. And really briefly, hi everyone. My name is Zaina and I'm the founder of Run the World Summit. Run the World Summit is a community of women, and it's a Canadian event series across Canada that inspires people to support female identifying entrepreneurs and designers. So all of our events are offline, but unfortunately we are now pivoting digitally. So these mentorship Q&As have been really great. We come on every single day from Monday to Friday. Take the weekends off. Monday to Friday, we come on with a different industry expert to talk about different topics in terms of entrepreneurship or health and wellness. And today we have Sudduf. And as you guys, I mentioned this already, but we're going to be talking about building an online presence and a community, and then how, or what is your tips, what is Sudduf's tips on converting this community online to offline? So I always say this at all of my lives, but I have a couple of questions, and I can ask you now, or I can ask you at the end of your, at the end of the discussion. You just let me know how you want to go about starting.
Great. Yeah. So I'd love you to start with your questions. And also, if anyone watching has questions, I would be happy to take those.
Okay. So my first question is basically, did you start with an online presence or an online community, or did you start offline with My Salon Shop first?
Yeah, so even though it was a brick and mortar store, I did start the marketing very heavily online before we opened the doors. So we had an Instagram presence before we opened the doors to the shop. And I mean, it was what, 6 years ago that we opened, 6.5, something like that. So I always knew that for any business, even in that day and age, to be successful is you do need an online presence. Are you still with us, Zaina?
Yes, I just flipped over my camera.
Your neighborhood. Yeah, so I would say, yeah, we definitely did start a little bit online, but I didn't have a website where people could order right at the get-go. So it was kind of hand in hand. And because the community who shopped with us was like such a tight-knit and specific ideal client, it was easy for me to translate that into my online marketing. So I would say it went really hand in hand to start. And even to this day with my marketing, it like the online and offline presence goes hand in hand still. And I'm not an event planner, but I feel like I know my ideal client and I know what they want from like an in-person event. So we're really good at delivering that, and that kind of brings them into the online program. So it is really something that works hand in hand.
So what platform did you use when you were marketing for My Salon Shop?
Yeah, it was Instagram for the most part. That's how my Instagram grew, and it's the same account that I have right now. I just changed the name. And that's back when Instagram was getting a lot of traction and influencer marketing was starting as well. Instagram has been really good to me.
Amazing. And did you, at that point, did you do any influencer campaigns to promote My Salon Shop? And kind of what is your take on influencer marketing? Is it useful? Is it beneficial, especially now?
Yeah, a lot has changed. Back then, we definitely did. We partnered with a lot of Muslim influencers who were up and coming, and they're still around today. It was very different because people didn't have, they didn't have their media kits back then. They didn't have they didn't have relationships with big brands. So a lot of what we did was we would send product, and we would send it with the premise that this is for you and your family because we really appreciate what you're doing. We never had a sort of agreement at that point where it was like, you need to show this on Instagram. It was really like coming from a place of gratitude, which I think is really still what you need to be doing today with influencers. Like, yes, you need to be paying them, and yes, it's a business transaction. But business to business, you can still show them gratitude, and you should still be coming from a place of gratitude saying, hey, we researched and we found you to be the best person to promote our product. We love what you're doing. We appreciate you. Send us your media kit and let us know how we can support you. Because a lot of times people think of these online influencer relationships as like, well, I paid them $1,000 and I didn't get any sales. And it's not about that.
Yeah.
It's about like,
there's no guarantee also.
No, and an influencer's job isn't to sell your product. Like their job is just like any other marketing. It's to get the word out there. Like when you put an ad on a bus, you're not expecting the bus to sell your product. That's your job. Yeah, that's your job at the end of the day. So we always kind of came with that mindset, even back in the salon shop days. And yeah, it was really fun. We would put fun packages together and send them out. Yeah, at that time, I don't even think we had a website. It was more of just to get like spread love and joy through these products in the world.
That's awesome. And how long did My Salon Shop run for or was operating for?
It was about 3 years, I believe, 3 or 3.5, from when I opened to when I closed. Yeah, and it's funny because when I opened, the idea was that like, okay, this is perfect. When I have a baby, I'll bring my baby to the shop. Like I made it very kid friendly, like in terms of like, okay, there's a lounge area. I'll bring my baby here and I'll be able to like still run it. And then obviously I got pregnant with 3 babies. So I was like,
I
no.
don't know how. Oh my goodness. Oh my God bless you. Oh my goodness. I can't even imagine. Like one baby feels like you're taking care of like three. Imagine three. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
God
it's
bless you.
crazy. I do have help, so I have help with them. I actually really don't know how moms do anything without help. So now I understand why our moms and our grandmas had like a village helping them. It
Yep.
totally makes sense now because it's not even just like the physical help of like, okay, feeding a baby. It's more of like having adults around you to remind you that you can get through this and you will get through this.
Absolutely. And so after, my salam shop, you decided to close the doors. Um, I'm assuming if I was in your shoes, that must be super like stressful, and you're kind of like, okay, what now? Like, what do I do now? I just had this, really super cute shop for 3 years, and all of a sudden now I'm having triplets, and what do I do now? So, what was your kind of like? How did you shift, and what did you do to kind of um, pivot online, or did you do courses? Did you do webinars? Like, what did you do?
Yeah, I think like with anyone who's watching who's also in business, like there's always that time for reflection. Now I do it a lot more than I did then, but after like having to close the shop, that's when I finally had a chance to reflect and be like, okay, which parts of this did I love? Which parts did I not love so much? Which parts were really profitable? Which parts weren't profitable? And I had a lot of time to process that information. And what I gained from just kind of taking months to figure out what I wanted to do was I realized that I was really good at finding amazing Islamic products and like finding these entrepreneurs who were doing this. And I really loved sharing those stories. Oh, are we frozen? Are you just frozen or are we both frozen? Because you're frozen for me. Frozen right now or make it. Yeah, I'm here. I think I keep freezing.
Okay,
I'm
I
gonna
can
like
hear you now.
adjust
It
my.
froze for a little bit.
Okay, I'm just gonna plug in my phone and see if that helps at all. Am I still freezing?
No, I think you're better now. You're good now.
Okay. So what I was saying is that I just kind of figured, like I reflected on, what did I like doing, what was I good at, and what was profitable. And what I found that I really liked promoting products that were made by women, and I really liked looking out for them, like, searching on Instagram and doing this research and finding out about these up and coming entrepreneurs. And I liked the online space. And then what was most profitable is Ramadan. Like what was most profitable for our community was Ramadan. If I looked at like the years of being in business, and it was really Ramadan that carried us throughout the whole year. So I kind of used that and pivoted and became a mom blogger for like 3 months maybe, and also decided on doing the Ramadan market. So with the mom blogging stuff, I would promote products from a lot of the vendors that I used to carry. And then with Ramadan Market, it was kind of like a one day where um, people could shop those products. People could shop the products that they used to get from Salam Shop. They would be able to get them for their Ramadan. What I did find though very quickly while doing like the mom blogging stuff is like it's really tough being like an influencer or just being in that space in general. And it was like, again, this is my personal experience. It was really toxic and hurtful. And um, it
What
wasn't
was
as,
in the influencer space?
being in the influencer space. And it's just not something I would ever want to be part of again, because at the end of the day, your mental health is more important than anything else. And yeah, kudos to all the influencers out there and all of you guys just really putting yourselves out there day after day. Um, because people are mean and
Yeah.
they're just really mean. And it's really easy to hide behind a screen and send mean messages about what you think about my mothering or like my house or whatever.
And I feel
And
like mothering too, like people are really onto that topic. Like, why? Like,
it's
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know, but I quickly got out of that space. I think it was September that I started like 2 or 3 years ago, 3 years ago, and then by January I was done with it. I was like, no, I'm no longer sharing anything about my kids, my family, my mothering, because um although on one hand you're helping a lot of people and you're supporting a lot of people, on the other hand, you have to look out for yourself and your family first, right?
Right.
So that's when I pivoted to do more of the business coaching and mentoring. And at that time, it was more consulting. I do have a background in business. I have a master's in business, and obviously with my own businesses, I felt I could help a lot of people in that sense. So that's kind of how I pivoted afterwards. And I'm still pivoting. Like things change all the time. You're an entrepreneur, and I know you do that too. It's like the cool thing is you can change your mind and pivot anytime you want.
Yeah.
And sometimes you do it and it's like, okay, I didn't like how this went. You can switch back. It's really cool being your own boss and making those decisions very quickly. And yeah, now I do it a lot more often than I used to. I'm not scared
Well,
to do that.
yeah, and also too, like you were planning for Ramadan market, we were planning for Ramadan summit in the fall of 2020, and now it's like, boom, change of plans. What are you gonna do? Um, so, I mean, I know a lot of people are going through similar, similar obstacles, and they're kind of just like, okay, what do we do now? But I really liked your point about once you closed Salam Shop, you took, you took time to yourself to reflect and to see what works and what didn't work. And I think that's super important when you're doing anything, whether you're building an online community or whether you're opening a brick and mortar or e-commerce. It's all about figuring out what works, what doesn't work. And you said a really important point early on when we started the live, and it was you knowing exactly who you are targeting, like who your ideal customer is, which is very specific. Knowing that and reaching out and finding a way to build a community based on that audience online, and you've done it so well. So hats off to you. Hijab off to you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and even with Ramadan market. So we the day that the World Health Organization announced it as a pandemic, that's the day like everyone was texting me, like a bunch of lawyer friends and like doctor friends being like, listen, you need to announce this, and that was really stressful. But at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for your ideal client. And I was just thinking of like, okay, this mother whose kids are in school right now, she's obviously watching the news and she's thinking like, oh man, like how am I going to go to Ramadan market? And then at the end of the day, I just thought about myself and I'm like, I wouldn't bring my kids to an event like that where there's so many people. So then it was like a no-brainer. We canceled, and for weeks I was like there were so many ideas brewing in my head, and I would have a first idea and go with it. And what we're doing now is we're doing these IGTV episodes featuring our vendors, but that was not that was not my first idea. That was probably like my 10th idea. And
Yeah.
if I hadn't taken time to reflect on each of the ideas and really like mull over them and think like what's going to be the most beneficial for everyone, we would have like not had what we had right now. And while it's good to be responsive and quick to respond, you have to give yourself some space and allow yourself some space to like reflect and go through all of those check boxes. Like, am I doing this because it's best for me or is it best for my customer? Because that's what matters at the end of the day.
And it's so easy to compare yourself to other entrepreneurs on social media and look at this person or look at this brand and be like, oh well, they're bouncing back so quickly, look at all the ideas that they're, which is great, but everybody works at their own pace. And like you said, sometimes if you need longer to reflect and think about what's going to work best for you and what's going to work best for your business, take that time. It's okay. It's not like a competition where whoever gets the best idea, like it's no, it's again, all of our IG lives kind of link back to mental health too, and taking care of how you're feeling, because if you're not able to take care of how you're feeling on the inside, you're not going to be able to perform and take care of your business, which I think is sometimes a point that we take for granted, or we don't really prioritize as much, unfortunately.
Definitely. I just wanted to mention something too about how seeing other people on social media. I think like everyone has a different perspective on this, but if you truly have an abundance mindset and if you truly want for your sister what you want for yourself, this is tough. Like we think we all want that. We think like, oh yeah, like I want to see everyone winning. But if you're seeing those Instagram posts of people like successfully pivoting and people who are making money, and then you're thinking in your head like, oh, she's so annoying, or oh my God, why am I not able to do anything? Then you don't have an abundance mindset and you don't want for your sister what you want for yourself. Like you should just uninstall the app or just like check yourself, like do some reflection, like get off the app, like reflect on why you're feeling that way. Because I would say 95% of people don't have that abundance mindset. Even people who are teaching it. Like I know myself, I sometimes see things and I'll be like, oh, I'm so annoyed. Like that's when I check myself and I'm like, I need to take a break from this and reflect on myself and stop worrying about what everyone else is doing. And then only when you like see those things and actually think, oh, I'm so happy for her, I want to congratulate her, that's when you'll be able to grow as well. And I know like it does come back to mental health, and if it's bogging you down and making you feel crappy, then like delete the app for a bit, or just like delete or like reduce the amount of time you're spending online, because you're in control of that. Like we're not in control of that. Like you can take back that control pretty easily by just deleting the app or whatever it is that you're using. But this is the time where you're already going through much stress and anxiety. If Instagram is causing you more of that, if other people's success is causing you to lose faith in yourself, then there's like, that's not good, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's actually one of the reasons why I started Run the World and now Run the World Summit, is because I would always see these quotes on Instagram, women supporting women, you know, a lot of Instagram accounts promoting it. But when it comes down to it, it's like, what are you really doing? Are you just reposting these hashtags, or are you is it just like a buzzword that everyone's saying? And no, it's not a buzzword, and it's something, you know, that really means something. And it's about questioning, okay, what are you really doing about it? And with Run the World, like today, for example, you know, we're launching our website, whatever we can, to the idea of supporting and supporting local female businesses, because that's really important. It's not just about reposting these photos and then, you know, like you said, when you see somebody be successful, you're like, oh my God, I'm so annoyed, you know? Sudduf?
Yeah, Zaina, you got cut off for a second, so I couldn't hear you for a bit. Am I frozen?
No, you're good now.
I missed the last part of what you said. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. I was just saying that, you know, it's really about questioning, what are you really doing to support women or to have that abundance mindset, like you said, and checking yourself at certain points when you are feeling like, oh, I'm so annoyed that this person is, you know, making more money than me or more successful. Delete the app, or maybe just, yes, she did freeze on us too. Okay, so we're good now.
Yeah, and I think like online, it's so much harder to like, in a sense, it's easier to build those bonds, like those really strong, you know, entrepreneur friendships, because you get over that awkwardness of meeting in person. However, it's so much easier for people to not be very nice over like Instagram or DMs and things like that. So it can go both ways, but just come from like a place of gratitude and know like that little feeling in your tummy if you're feeling weird about like an online, you know, friendship, then you're right. Like whatever that feeling is, like just go with that feeling. And like in-person events, it's they're so special, right? They're so special because you get to feel the energy in person, and you with someone immediately. Whereas online, it's definitely tougher, but from someone who has built an online community, it can definitely be done, and your community is only as strong as the weakest member. So if you have people in there who don't have the abundance mindset, then that's really going to affect your community. So making sure it is a sacred space, and controlling that if you need to.
Absolutely. So again, if anybody has any questions, just feel free to drop them in the comment section or in the question box. But to kind of wrap up the conversation, if you were to summarize maybe five points that you've experienced when, whether it's building your community with My Salam Shop or now building your online community, and converting them offline. If you were to summarize maybe 5 points on the best practices for anyone that's looking to build or that's looking to just grow their online community, what would those tips be if you were to summarize?
Yeah, for sure. And then there's a question here we can answer later. So I would say first start by thinking about what your ideal client is struggling with the most. So an easy way to kind of shape this question in your mind is what keeps them, what are the questions kind of going through their head at night. So write that down. So that's going to be your first indicator of whether you can solve this person's problem with your community or your idea. The second thing I would do then is think about where this person hangs out online. Are they hanging out on Pinterest? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Are they on TikTok? That's a big thing, right? And not just choosing what you are comfortable with, but really thinking about that first question, your ideal client. Where are they hanging out online, and focusing on that space. The third one would be, let's see. So we talked about what are they struggling with? Where are they hanging out online? I mean, the third piece would really be going back and reflecting on what your purpose is. So, maybe you want to provide support during this time and make money while you're doing it, or maybe you want this to be just like a feel good, voluntary thing that you're going to do. But you have to decide and really reflect on why you're doing it, because the people who are consistent with their offerings, their business, whatever it is, it's because they have a strong why. This is why I'm doing it. This is why I continue to do it. And I would say then after that, I don't know if I have a step 4 or 5, but just really like putting your best foot forward, and not just like doing a crappy job. Like if you're going to set out to do something, then do the best that you can, and really think about serving these people. So I think I just have the 3 there. But notice how all of them are really not like you're not thinking about yourself. You're really thinking about your ideal client and their struggles and how you're going to serve them best. Your job is to make their life easier.
It's not about you.
It's not about you. And at the end of the day, you for sure can be making money. Like it's a business at the end of the day. But if it's not about your client, this is not going to last. It's not going to last. You're not going to feel motivated. They're not going to feel motivated. It has to be about them at the end of the day.
I love that. And one point that I just thought of, it's a little bit off topic, but it's also when, reaching out to investors or sponsors, whether you're a service-based business or a product, whatever it is, it's not about you. It's about what you're offering them. And that kind of linked with what you were saying too, because it's like when you just think about me, you're not solving anybody else's problem. You're solving your own, but you're not solving, your community. So I think I love that. So just to recap, figuring out what your ideal client is and what are they struggling with the most, where they're hanging out online, what platforms are they using, and reflecting on your purpose and solidifying your why.
Absolutely.
And putting your best foot forward.
Yeah, always putting always putting your best foot forward. I mean, I feel like I don't have to say it, but then sometimes I see stuff out there with spelling errors and it just blows my mind. You can't expect you can't expect people to invest in you or your service if you haven't, checked your spelling. So
Yeah.
that just popped up. So I see a question here from Nasiha Craft. She says, while collaboration is good, how do you deal with people who collab to have an insight of how you run your business and implement your skills? Yeah, so I think what you're talking about, Nasiha, and correct me if I'm wrong, is maybe someone who's not coming from a place of gratitude or really curiosity. They're more wanting to learn about the inside of your business, and that's when I say, like, pay attention to your spidey senses. Like, if you get
Yeah.
an inkling that someone's only talking to you for their own gain, or it just feels weird, like, for me, that's just, it's done. I send a nice message saying, like, hey, I don't think we're a good fit, and that's it. Like, at the end of the day, like, yes, we should all be kind to one another, but business is business. You also have to be smart. If you feel like someone's doing something that's unethical, you don't have to give an explanation. You can just say, I don't think we're a good fit. And the word collaboration, it means that you're both benefiting, right? So if you feel like it's an unequal exchange, then that's not really a collaboration. So that's where maybe, someone, you should be getting paid, or maybe they should be getting paid, right? So making sure that you're both getting something equal out of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think that's all that we have for
There
questions.
was one, there was
Oh,
one
there's
here
one about
too.
delete app. We can, if we just delete the app, we can just delete it, but when you are just going to delete your whole life when someone does. Oh, so I guess the question was, are you just going to delete the app if you're seeing that somebody's doing better than you and it's giving you like stress or anxiety, rather than just what was rather than instead of kicking that person out, why not build them up and help them explore the parts that will get them unstuck?
Absolutely. Like, I think there's two parts here. One, it's really simple for us to say Allah's the source of abundance and we're just vessels. How many people practice that? I don't know. I just think it's really easy for someone to say that, oh, you don't have to delete the app, you just have to work on your iman. But I know, based on my experience and based on what I know of myself, is I like to give people, like, tangible tools of things that they can do.
Yeah.
And what I can tell you is, if you're feeling that towards people, you need to delete the app, or you need to get off of it, you need to unfollow, and you need to do all of the other things, because
That's whatever
you
works
can't
for
just
you.
expect, yeah, and you can't just expect your life to change if you're not making changes, right?
Yeah.
And then in terms of building people up, absolutely, you should definitely be building one another up. But then again, you have to remember what your role is in that relationship. So if you have a community of, so for example, for Salam Shop, say there's a community of people selling Muslim lifestyle products. My role in that group would be to facilitate, people posting maybe their products. I don't do this, I'm just giving a random example. But it wouldn't be my role to help someone go through their, emotional traumas. Like, that's when a therapist would come
Yeah.
in. And I think,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think, like, the problem is that when people who aren't qualified try to do these things for others, and I am someone who has been, like, I tell several people that, like, I don't think I can solve that problem. Have you thought about talking to a therapist? Or, I don't think I can solve that problem. Have you thought about talking to, such and such, an accountant, or whatnot? And I think,
Yeah.
like, more of us need to do that. We can't solve the world's problems. So I hope that answers your question there.
Absolutely. At what point do you charge brands for creating content for them? I am a new blogger, but I'm wondering if I'm being taken advantage of for creating free content.
I think if you're serious about what you're doing, you should treat yourself seriously, and that way other people will take you seriously. So, regardless of whether you're a new blogger or not, you need to have a media kit. And when someone inquires about a product, you email them your media kit. So, if you don't take yourself seriously, if you don't ask for money in exchange for your service, then they're not going to either. So it starts with you, and there isn't, like, a magic point where you start charging. People charge from day one, and sometimes people charge after they feel they're in that mindset. It's really up to you. But again, it does come back on you. Like, do you feel serious about this business? Once you do, you can start accepting money.
Absolutely. And just to clarify, for those who don't know what a media kit is, a media kit is basically like a package that, you know, an influencer or blogger could put together that just kind of shares a little bit about who you are, you know, some photos, and that talks about the analytics of your page. That's really important information for brands that are looking to work with you. And especially if you're asking for money, they want to know kind of like what your reach is and who your target audience is. So just to clarify, for those who might not know what a media kit is, I know for myself, I just I created my media kit, I want to say like 8 months ago, so fairly new. I was very late to the game, but yeah, I think it's a really great point, and everybody should have one if you are looking to work with other brands. And if there's any other questions for Sudduf, you guys can share them below, and then if not, maybe last question for me is, what
Sure.
are you working on now? What is the game plan for Salam Sudduf?
Yeah, so right now I am working on my Ramadan content. Usually I like to spend, I don't work in Ramadan, so I'm working on all the content now. I like to take the month off, and I like to take that month for giving back to the community. So you'll see a lot of charitable things going on, a lot of ways for all of you to give back, and then some real inspirational content for the month. While I take the month off to be kind of on my own. And then the summer, actually, I like to take the summer off as well, just to be with my family. So you're going to see a lot of me stepping back and reflecting on the past year, and really thinking about how I'm going to pivot my business going forward. You'll definitely see a lot more online offerings than I've put out in the past. Because I think this is kind of like a kick in the butt of things that I've wanted to put out before, courses and whatnot. So yeah, that's what's coming from me.
That's great. And yeah, I mean, again, for us too, we were super excited about the summit in the fall, but unfortunately that's, you know, that's going to have to wait. It's going to have to wait. And I'm really grateful to you, Sudduf, for taking the time. I know you have triplets and you have business. I mean, I really appreciate everything, and you taking the time to chat with us today. And I will be saving this live, so it will be available for 24 hours. And then we are actually downloading it, and we'll be uploading it to the Run the World Summit website. So if anybody wants to, you know, come back and rewatch this at any point in time, they'll be able to do that on the website. So that's going to be great.
Great. Thank you so much, Zaina. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Okay, take care of yourself and stay safe.
You too. Bye. Bye.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. And again, this video will be available for 24 hours, and then will be shifted onto the Run the World Summit website. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.